Welcome to ATHENASIA, I'm Lauren Timmermans, and in this video we'll do something a bit different from usual. We'll start a series of videos. So my first guest for this video is Alban Chatagnon, an expert in VAT. He's working for 4 years with ASD, one of the top companies for VAT in Europe. We'll take a really special angle to this interview. We'll be discussing VAT, but also on the angle of a business that operates from outside Europe, which is kind of the majority of the people that work with ATHENASIA. So they have a business in Hong Kong, for example, with a VAT number in the US. And we'll also, so there will be 3 videos to that. The first one will come back to the basis. What is VAT? Then we'll talk about how the VAT works concretely. And the third aspect will be how VAT works for e-commerce. We'll be discussing about the case of Amazon and dropshippers. And well, basically I hope you can learn from that. We have here the right guy, the expert for that, Alban. Originally from France, he's living in Hong Kong for many years now. So you will have a Belgian dude and a French dude, both French speakers talking in English. So hopefully you can bear with us. And yeah, let's go ahead. So Alban, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Maybe we could start by explaining our audience there, like what is VAT,
Sure.
What is the purpose of VAT,
Sure.
and yeah, maybe give us a bit the basis because it's not obvious for everybody.
Of course. So the very first thing that we need to understand is like how to do business in a foreign country, how to do business in a country where you are not established, right? Mm-hmm. So you basically have, so it's a shortcut, but it's basically you have 3 options. The first one, you run your business from your own country. We will do a focus on trading company, a company who trade product. So you're a company and you just sell product to your client anywhere in the world. Mm-hmm. This client will take care of everything for you. So you sell the product and he will come pick up the goods, do everything. So you actually have nothing to do. The second option is you actually set up company in the country where you want to sell. So so you will have 2 companies in that case, in the local market and where you are based. And the third option, where VAT will be involved, it's you can basically you have a lot of options, but you can simply open a tax number from your company. You can open a tax number in the targeted country. So we are here in Hong Kong today. So let's say a Hong Kong company want to sell in Europe, in Germany or France. Mm-hmm. You can have one Hong Kong company who want to sell in Germany. One VAT number in Germany will do the job.
So this is the main case for our clients, basically, that a Hong Kong company with a VAT number in Germany.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the case for any company in the world. Once they start to think global, I mean, you have to how do I sell overseas? How do I push my product overseas? So yeah, you have 3 options. So what is VAT? VAT, we have to understand that we will not go into details, and because it might be a bit boring for people to.
Well, if they comment that they want more and they put a lot of likes, we can maybe do something with a whiteboard,
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely, we can do that later. So the thing is, the VAT is an indirect tax. Meaning almost 140 countries has VAT in the world, so like a lot of countries.
Are you counting the GST as well? Or not?
Correct. So we say VAT, VAT or VAT, or also GST. GST is for Australia and Canada mainly. It works almost the same way everywhere. They might have some differences, but it's very similar system. Mm-hmm. And so basically, it's a tax that each company will add on the top of their production. Every time you purchase something and you sell something, you have added value here. So on the price of this product, you will just simply add this tax. And something very important is this tax is meant to be paid only by the final customer, the B2C. The last customer. Each company will collect the VAT and remit the VAT to the local administration, but it's not a cost for the company. At the end, the balance will be flat, so it's not a cost.
So at the end of it's the final consumer that has to pay the VAT.
Correct.
So every business in the value chain have to report and pay, but they can also deduct, and eventually it's like they are not paying it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
On the
absolutely.
On the customer.
So maybe it's good to take an example here. If you so you have a pen like this, if you want you have the plastic factory, okay? So the plastic factory will sell the plastic to the next manufacturer. So they will sell the plastic and with the plastic price plus the VAT on the top, the VAT on the top. So the company who will manufacture this pen, use the plastic to manufacture this pen, will actually purchase with VAT, the plastic with the VAT, and once they will have produced this pen, they will sell to someone else. It can be to a company or to a final customer with VAT. So as we can see here, the manufacturer who produced this pen will have purchased with VAT and sell with VAT. So obviously you will sell at higher price than what you purchased, so you will collect more VAT, so you simply have to do the balance. If you have paid more, you will get the money back. If you receive more, you will just give back to the administration. That's it.
Okay, and if you operate in a country like Hong Kong where there is no VAT, basically you will purchase without VAT, but when you will sell, you will have to pay the VAT, right? There is no deduction, or how it works then?
So good question. So it will depend how. So if you purchase without VAT, of course that's it. But the question that we need to answer is, do you need to charge VAT on the sales? Because if you sell from Hong Kong anywhere in the world, if you do not take care of the delivery, most likely your client will take care of everything. So you don't even have to think about VAT.
And this is in a dropshipping case, for example.
This is not dropshipping case. We can come back on this one later. This is a bit specific, but so Hong Kong is very specific because you do not have VAT, but if you want to work in a country with VAT, the question will come up here. So if you want to push your goods in a country who play with the VAT rules, so here we will have to see how can we collect and pay the VAT. Okay.
So how does it work? I mean, that's the next question we have. We have quite a lot of questions, so we wrote them down just to make sure we are thorough. I have here, how does it work? You kind of explained that. Is there anything that you didn't cover in our casual chat there?
Yeah. So one more thing about VAT that might be trouble for people. So let's talk about Europe, for instance. So you have the European directive will just give the main rules about VAT for each country inside Europe. But each state member has the possibility to make the VAT rate evolve. For instance, in Italy next year, the VAT rate will rise. They will have a higher rate next year. And also, each good and services might have a different rate. For instance, goods from everything from education or health, you will have either lower rate of VAT or no VAT at all. So, but this one is each state member will define what will be the rate and how it works.
Okay. Generally, like on food or things like that, the VAT is lower, right? And luxury product, they try to make it more.
Correct. Okay. Yeah. And for some people, it's fair tax because it's the same amount. Everybody paid the same price, right?
Yeah, we discussed that last time. Yeah.
Absolutely. When you purchase an iPhone, you will pay 20% on the iPhone. Everybody will pay the same amount if the rate is 20%. But if you are rich or if you are poor, the 20% will not have the same impact on your in your pocket, right? So you want to. So that's why there is like some debate around VAT. But one thing for sure, it's VAT is one of the main revenue for every state. So that's why every country really want to keep this amount of money and make sure that every company or final customer will actually pay for it.
Yeah, and personally, I told you before, I think it's a fair tax actually for this reason. I mean, if you are rich and you have a lot of money and you spend a lot and you bought expensive cars or things like that, you still pay like this VAT on this. If you don't have much money and you don't consume much, then you pay less tax. Plus, if the VAT is adjusted, and for example on basic needs the VAT is lower, I don't know, down to 6% or something like that, like on food for example, then it's becoming really fair, I think.
Yeah.
I personally would prefer VAT over, you know, tax on work, for example, labor, or maybe on corporate tax. But that's another story.
Yeah.
We are not here to
Absolutely.
remake tax system.
Absolutely.
Let's just stick to the VAT. Now, another question that we'll have from our viewers or the clients we interact with is like, is it avoidable? So can we avoid paying VAT in Europe?
So yes and no. The final customer should pay the VAT. So the final customer, you and me, individuals, they should pay the VAT. So no, at the end, the VAT should not be avoided. But you have the way to play around, meaning for company, because I guess if we're here, it's for entrepreneurs, right? So they have a company. Like a local company will, again, it's a shortcut because depending of each country, the regulation will change, might change, but it's difficult to give one general idea about VAT. So if you have a Hong Kong company who want to open a VAT number in Europe in order to do business in Europe, purchase, have a warehouse, sell, import product, any kind of business that a local company can do. Here, this VAT number, they will almost every time work without VAT. And it can be like a big advantage because you are able to import product without any VAT. So you will save a lot of cash flow here, and then you can sell without VAT. So in that case, you sell 100% without
B2B, right?
It's only for B2B. It's only for B2B, correct?
B2C, you will have, you always need to get these
correct.
This VAT number to sell to final customer.
Yes, yes.
So only if you do B2B in Europe or from an entity outside Europe, then you can somehow don't play with the VAT, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So technically, you are still into the VAT system, but you will simply not collect and give it back to the administration. Why? Because the thing is. A normal sales is a sales with VAT. If you charge a client without VAT, you need to explain why there is no VAT if you are into the VAT system. So into each invoice you will mark actually why did you choose to not charge the VAT. There is a lot of reason, and it might have a lot of explanation, but at least you need to explain that.
So what about the case of a Hong Kong company, for example, that will purchase some product in Europe to a European supplier and will sell back the goods, let's say in Hong Kong, in our local market. Now, will he have to pay VAT to the supplier or not? Like the invoice will be with or without VAT?
So in that case, the European supplier will do an exportation. He will export product out of Europe. So in that case, no, there is no VAT. So the purchase from the Hong Kong company will be, the Hong Kong company will purchase without VAT. And then he will sell, if it's in Hong Kong, no VAT, and depending on where will be the next sales.
Okay, good. So yeah, thank you for, explaining the fundamentals of the VAT. Like how you see the future of VAT? Where do you see this tax going in the future? Like if you look at the new legislation and everything, where you see this heading to?
So there is a lot of regulation, and it's very difficult to think that because each country has its own regulation. So it's very difficult to believe that one day we will be able to merge everything. As mentioned, the VAT amount that each country will collect every year is one of the main revenue for each country. So they definitely doesn't want to share this money with other country. So the idea to have only one main VAT rate, that's the one main system, it's very difficult to believe. So, but one thing that will evolve for sure, it's the way to collect VAT. So far, if you work in 28 countries in Europe, you will have to report with your 28 VAT numbers in 28 states. But tomorrow they will probably have one website when you will just fill in the information, and this website will collect the data and just share everything to every other country. It's already the case with the MOS system, MOSS. It's working for some services. So it will be, they will have something similar in the future, I guess. But so far, still one country, one regulation.
Okay, because if you see also, if I remember well, on the BEPS, out of the 15 actions, 2 are quite related to VAT, e-commerce, and the avoidance of paying VAT. Because we'll be discussing that in e-commerce after. There's still some ways to somehow avoid paying the VAT, which is a gray area. Okay, we're okay with that, but it's still happening nowadays, and the states are aware of it. If you look at the OECD, they came up with the BEPS to actually avoid. So the BEPS is base erosion and profit shifting. So and they came up with 15 actions, and if I remember well, 2 of them are on e-commerce and VAT, because they realized you could easily avoid VAT with an offshore company, and you could also and it's difficult for the state to actually collect this VAT. Also with virtual product, it's almost impossible at this moment for the state to actually collect on this VAT. Now, how do you see state implementing the BEPS and actually being able to collect VAT on offshore company that sell virtual products?
So I'm not an expert on the BEPS, but the thing for sure is each state are well aware that a lot of people do not pay VAT when they should. So there is a huge work done by each country, but also the customs. You know, the VAT is for each country, but the customs it's for everywhere in Europe. So a lot of for services, right, it will be very difficult to track everything. But for goods, basically, if you ship a container to Belgium, to France, it will go through customs. So very easy to check. It will become more difficult if you sell parcel per parcel, like one sale, one shipment. Here, of course, customs cannot check everything. There is way too much parcel to check every day. So that's one of the reasons why people try to play with the system and not pay VAT. But it doesn't mean that it's the way to proceed, because legally it's
still illegal.
Definitely, of course, not okay at all. So yeah.
Okay, and virtual products, because we discussed that like few weeks back. You know, it was quite crazy that Amazon was not reporting the VAT themselves and ask every individual sellers to actually do it. Also, like you could see with the BEPS that want to charge VAT even on virtual product. I mean, good luck with that. Unless maybe they start to take the VAT on the payment gateways.
Absolutely.
So if they can start to take the VAT with Stripe or with PayPal, at that moment, they could maybe collect on almost everything.
Good luck with that, because of course they do not want to take the responsibility of the VAT, because if at the end they will be the one who have to pay for the VAT, and that's exactly something that it's not possible. But that's actually not what they want. At not correct. But
Okay. Well, let's see how these things evolve. Okay, so thanks for the first interview. We'll cut here and we'll come back with the next one on how does it work actually.
Absolutely.
What are the mechanisms to collect this VAT, how the VAT works, how to set up a number, etc. in the next video.